Hello YouTube family, my name's Jim and welcome back to the Photon Rookie channel. This is video number 39. Today we're going to do a tutorial on the new Siril 1.4.0 Beta 3. I've had some requests from some of you folks to do a new tutorial because there have been some changes made in Siril since I did the last tutorial. So by popular demand, here it is. Okay, we have the new version of Siril 1.4.0 Beta 3 open here, and we have the unstretched image of M16, the Eagle Nebula, on the screen. It's already been stacked, 12,107 10-second fit files. If you need to know how to transfer the fit files from your Seestar into your computer and then start stacking them in Siril, I have a video that explains how to do that. I'll put the link in the description below. But where we're starting this tutorial, we already have the stacked unstretched image of M16 right here on our screen. So we want to look at the data before we stretch it. So we'll come down here to this linear button, press it, and select auto stretch, and now you can see your data pretty clearly. This is a really good data set, having over 12,000 fit files, so it should come out very nicely. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I do is I come up to image processing and I come down to remove green noise and select that. And we're going to remove the green noise from the image because when you use the light pollution filter, it tends to introduce green noise to your image, and we don't want that. So we'll hit apply, and it just removed the green noise from the image. So we close and save the result. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a color calibration. Now we have a new option for color calibration. We select color calibration and we have spectrophotometric color calibration. This is supposedly a very accurate form of color calibration. It takes the actual coloration from sources online and applies it to your image. If you notice, this option is grayed out for me. I can't select it. It's because I have to plate solve the image first. So the way I do that is I come up here to Tools and I come down to Astrometry, and I select Image Plate Solver. This box will open up. All I have to do is hit OK, and it will plate solve the image. Doesn't take very long. It's done already. So I'll go ahead and save that result, and I'll go back to image processing, come down to color calibration, and you see now that spectrophotometric color calibration is available to me. So I click on that. This box will open up. There are two boxes you need to make sure you have the correct information in. Since this image was taken by the Seestar S50, you have to make sure the Seestar S50 is selected in this box. And since I did use the light pollution filter when taking the fit files, I have to make sure I have the Seestar LP filter selected here. If you didn't use the filter, you would just hit the drop down and choose no filter right here. So that's all you have to do. Once you make sure you've got the correct information there, you hit OK, and spectrophotometric color calibration will do its thing. All right, it's done. It didn't take too long. I'm going to go ahead and close this box and save the result, and our color calibration should be correct on our image now. The next step I usually do is to come up to image processing and come down to star processing and StarNet star removal, and I go ahead and remove the stars from the image. So you click execute. Takes a few moments to remove the stars. I'll do a time jump and get us to the end real quick. Okay, we're just about done with star removal, and they're gone, and we're left with just the nebula. So we want to save that result. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use Grexpert to do a background extraction and a noise reduction. With this new version of Siril, Grexpert is on board. You don't have to send this out to an external program like I had to do in my previous tutorials. It's all done right here. So to do that, all we have to do is come up here to Scripts, come down to Python scripts, go over to processing, and here's Grexpert. Just click on it and click Run Script. And this box will open up. Let's move it out of the way so we can see our object. So in operation, you see background extraction. There's a smoothing bar you can change. It goes from 0 to 1. It defaults to 0.5. I usually just leave it there, but you can change this value if you want to experiment and see how it affects your object. All I do is I hit apply, and it performs the background extraction. And it did it pretty quickly there. The next thing we want to do is come back up to operation, hit this drop down arrow, and select denoising. Now denoising takes a little bit longer. Like the background extraction, it has this slider here. It goes from 0 to 1. I leave it at 0.5, and we hit apply. And it'll do the denoising, which takes a bit longer. I'll time jump to the end. Okay, we jumped into the future a couple of moments. Noise reduction just completed, so we can close the Grexpert box and save our result. What we're going to do now is we're going to stretch the nebula. It's still in linear form. Let's go back into the linear view. Come down here and hit this button and select linear. And now we're going to stretch the nebula. So the way we do that, we're going to come up to image processing, and we're going to come down to stretches, the first option here, and we're going to select generalized hyperbolic stretch transformations. This box will open up. Under type of stretch, you want to make sure you have generalized hyperbolic transform selected. Under color stretch model, I like to use humid weighted luminance. So now we're going to use this slide bar to stretch the image so that we can see it and bring the detail out. So you use this little slide right here, grab it, pull it out, hit apply, and just keep doing small stretches like this as you go. You can see that the nebula is starting to come into view now. Just small stretches. Okay, that looks pretty good there. As we talked about in previous tutorials, all the data in your image is located in this spike. Everything to the left of it, there's a dead zone. If we can get rid of most of that dead zone, we can remove this grayness in the image here. And the way we do that is we come up here to type of stretch, and we select linear stretch black point shift. And then we use this slider to move this spike to the left, which will get rid of this gray noise. We don't want to clip the image. So down here where it says clip percentage, you want to keep this value at 0. If you have anything other than 0 there, you want to back the stretch off a little bit to get it to 0. So let's go ahead and move this slider to the right, which moves our spike to the left. You see the grayness in the image going away. We'll stop there. You can see we're clipping just a tiny bit. To get that back to 0, I come up to this fine-tune adjustment and just hit it a few times until we get that back to 0. And right there we are. So hit apply, and then we want to come back up to type of stretch and go back to generalized hyperbolic transform. We want to go ahead and put a check in logarithmic scale. A good stretch theoretically is where this peak goes up and then it comes down at a 45-degree angle. You almost never get that. But if you look here at these three channels, if we averaged them together, we would have something close to a 45-degree slope coming back. I think we've got room to stretch a little bit more. I'll take it up just a little bit more. Okay, that's probably about as high as I should take it. And hit apply. We'll close it, and there our image is stretched. So what we want to do now is I want to export this as a TIFF file, because I'm going to put it in GIMP and work on sharpening and colors and shadows and some other parameters. So the way we do that is we come up here to this little down arrow, and supported image files, we want to change it to a TIFF. As soon as I clicked that, it changed it to a TIFF file. And I have a folder on my desktop called TIFF that I put my TIFF files in there, and that's where I work on them from. So I select desktop, Come down till I locate my TIFF folder, click on that, and I hit save. And save one more time. So now this image is saved in my TIFF folder. So now what we want to do is we want to open the star mask, which are the stars we removed from the image. And let's go ahead and stretch that. So we'll come up here to image processing, select stretches, come down to generalized hyperbolic stretch transformation. This warning box will open up. I usually just hit rescale. That seems to work best for me. Now for the stars type of stretch, we want to choose modified arcsine transform. For the color stretch model, again, I want to use human weighted luminance, and stars are easy to stretch. I just take them usually out to about 7 or a little more. I hit apply, close, I save it, and then I go ahead and export this as a TIFF file the same way we did the starless image. So I click that down arrow. Under supported image files, we want to select TIFF files. That changes it into a TIFF file. Go back to desktop, select my TIFF folder, and save the image there. All right, we can minimize Siril for now, and we can open GIMP. Okay, we have GIMP open now. So we want to import our starless image. So we'll come up to File, Open, Desktop, and find our TIFF folder. And we want to look for our starless image. Here it is right here, so we select that. This Convert to RGB working space box will open. I always just hit keep. And there's our image. So while we work on our image in GIMP, I like to zoom in on it. And the way we do that is we come up to View, and we come down to Zoom, and we select Fill Window. That way we're looking really closely at our image to see in detail what kind of changes we make to it. The first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to see if I can sharpen it up some. So I come over here to Filters, come down to Enhance, come over and select Sharpen. Now when you select Sharpen, it will sharpen it up a little bit immediately. I don't know if you saw that, but it is sharper now. This box opens up here, and you can come up and grab this amount slider, and as you move it to the right, you see the image is getting sharper. You could definitely go too far. You go all the way down, and it's where it was when we started. So let me reset it. So we got a little bit of sharpening there. You can maybe just take a little bit more. I think that looks pretty good. We didn't really introduce any noise to it, so I'm going to accept that okay. So let's go back up to View, and let's go to Zoom, and let's select Fit Image in Window. This is the normal view that gets the whole object. So now we'll come up here to Colors. We'll come down to Saturation, and let's see if we can bring some more color out of this object. So the saturation box opened. We have this slide scale right here. We just want to grab it, and as you increase it, you can see the color becoming deeper and richer. You can go too far with it. Go ahead and reset it where it was. I'll probably just take it up a little bit. About there looks really nice to me. Everything we do to this image in GIMP is very subjective. You don't really have to follow what I do here. You do what makes you happy. Ultimately, you're the one. It's your image. I'm just using my opinion here. That's basically what using GIMP is. So I like the way that looks. So I'll hit OK. When you hit OK, that locks in your adjustment. So we're going to go back up to Colors again. I'm going to come down to Shadows and Highlights. So you have the Shadows slide right here. When this box opens up, as you take this to the right, it will expose more of that dim nebulosity in the top and bottom of the image. So as I slide this to the right, you'll see what I mean. See how it comes out and you can see it clear? You have to be careful because as you increase shadows, you also increase noise. And you can definitely see the noise increasing in parts of the image. So I'm going to back it off a bit. I think that looks pretty good right there. The next thing we'll do is we'll do highlights and white point adjustment. These two sliders. These sliders work pretty good on M16 because it gives you a little more control over the brightness of the core around the pillars of creation. If you take this white point adjustment down, watch around the pillars of creation the changes it makes as I drop it. You can see it just dims it down. It affects the whole image, but the center especially. I'm going to bring it back up a little bit because I think by dropping that, I was losing some detail on the pillars themselves. I kind of like it right there. Let's go up to highlights and drop it and see what it does. Yeah, you can see a pretty dramatic change there. I don't want to darken the pillars too much like that because you lose a lot of detail on it. It's nice to take it down a little bit to pick up detail in that background. I think right there looks pretty good, and I'll hit OK. All right, pretty happy with that image right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm done with it in GIMP, and I'm going to go ahead and save it back into the TIFF folder. So you come up here to File. You don't choose Save or Save As. You always use Export As. So select Export As and hit Export. It's going to ask you if you want to replace the original file. It's going to save it over the old one that we brought here. Yes, you do want to replace, so choose that and hit Export one more time. Okay, and we're done with the image in GIMP for now. So you can close GIMP, discard changes, and I'm going to reopen GIMP. I like to close and reopen GIMP in between different images. You may not have to, but I just think it's cleaner that way. So we've reopened GIMP. We're going to come back up to File, Open, Desktop, and we're going to come down and again select our TIFF folder right here. And this time, instead of the starless image, we're going to grab the star mask image right here. And you can see the star mask there. So I'm looking at the image here. I like the coloration of the stars. I think the stars look pretty good. I don't think I really want to go in and do anything with sharpening. Stars are really easy to mess up, so I'm not even going to do anything in GIMP to this image. I'm just going to close it and I'll leave it where it's setting in the TIFF folder. So next I'm going to open a program called AstroSharp, and we're going to run both the star mask and the starless image through AstroSharp. Okay, so AstroSharp is open. I know you heard me say a moment ago that I like the way the star mask looked. I didn't really want to make changes, so you're probably wondering, why do you have to run it through AstroSharp? Well, the thing about AstroSharp is if you run your starless image, your Nebula, through AstroSharp, and you don't run your star mask through AstroSharp, then you will not be able to marry the stars and the nebula back together in Siril. If you run one through AstroSharp, you have to run the other one. So just wanted to give an explanation there. So for the we're going to run the Nebula through first, and since I have good signal to noise ratio because we have over 12,000 fit files that were stacked for that image, I'm going to go with aggressiveness all the way up to the top of the scale. The PSF for the DSO object, I'm going to do that all the way up the scale. Not really worried about the one for stars because there aren't any stars in the image. You want to come over and make sure you select full image here. Under choose model, you want to make sure you choose second beta. I've tried all of these, and second beta seems to work the best for me, so I always use it. Now we're going to browse and import our starless image from the TIFF folder. I click on it, It'll load it right here. And there it is. It's grayed out. Don't worry about that. It's normal. And the next thing you'll do is you'll hit Update Sliders right here. Just click on it one time, and you'll get a progress bar down here showing you the progress as AstroSharp goes through the image and sharpens it up. And there's the progress bar. This takes a while, so I'll time jump. Okay, it looks like AstroSharp is just about finished. Progress bar is filled up. It should be disappearing, and we'll get our final result loaded right here. And there it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this result back into my TIFF folder. So you click the download processed file button here. This window will open up. This is my TIFF folder, and I hit save. And so now this image is saved in my TIFF folder. So I close AstroSharp, and now I'm going to go to the TIFF folder and have a look at the result. Okay. And here it is. So when you send your starless image through AstroSharp, it renames it processed. So this is the result. Let's open up the old starless image and do a comparison to see if AstroSharp actually improved the image. Okay, here's the image that after it went through AstroSharp. Here's the image before. So we can maybe zoom in on the pillars a little bit. Okay, so again, this is AstroSharp. This is before AstroSharp. I can see a lot of difference throughout the image. AstroSharp definitely improved the image. So what we can do is we can close these and reopen the TIFF folder. I'm going to go ahead and just delete the old starless image. We don't need it anymore. And I'm going to rename the processed image. So the reason I have to do that is because we have to send the star mask through AstroSharp also. And when we save that back here into the TIFF folder, it's going to call it processed also, and it'll try to save it over top of our starless image. We don't want that, so I'm just going to put a 1 right here in the name, and that way we don't have to worry about that happening. So close the TIFF folder, and we're going to open AstroSharp again. Same thing as with GIMP. I like closing AstroSharp in between images. I think it's just cleaner that way. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries to get AstroSharp to open. That's normal from what I understand. Most people experience that. So there it is open. We're going to go ahead. Now with the stars, we don't need much sharpening. Like I said before, I wouldn't even run the stars through AstroSharp if it wasn't required to be able to put it back together with the starless image. So we'll keep these sliders way down. Again, under preview, you want to select full range. Under the model, you want to select second beta. So now we can load up our star mask image into AstroSharp. So there it is. Now we can hit update sliders, and AstroSharp will process it. We'll get the same progress bar down here that we got before. And there it is, and I'll do another time jump. And there's the result, and we'll download it back into our TIFF folder just like we did for the starless image. Okay, so we are done with AstroSharp. So we have GIMP open here. So I'm going to go ahead and open the starless image that we just sent through AstroSharp. Again, I'm going back to my TIFF folder to get it. Okay, it's called One Processed. Remember, AstroSharp changed the name of the file. And there it is. Starting to look pretty nice. Again, I want to go to View, Zoom, and I want to fill the window up with it. just so we can see what we're doing here. First thing I want to do, I want to see if I can sharpen it up a little bit more. So I go to Filters, Enhance, and Sharpen. So it applied a little bit of sharpness to it there. You got to be careful, because if you over sharpen, you start getting this scaling and noise starts coming up. Let me go ahead and back off that amount of sharpening a little bit. All right, that looks pretty good there. I'll hit OK. So let's see if we can do a little bit of noise reduction, because I am seeing some noise here. So we'll go to Filters again. Again, we go to Enhance, and this time we go here to Noise Reduction. Now when I click on this, it will apply a little bit of noise reduction automatically. Okay, I saw a little bit of a difference. Let me take the strength up a little bit. It doesn't have a whole lot of effect on it. I'm going to allow a little bit of noise reduction there. Hit OK. Now let's take it back to the normal view. Let's go up to View, Zoom, and fit the image in the window. So that is really looking pretty good there. We can come up to Colors, come down to Saturation again, and go to our Scale slider here. See if we want to do a little more color into it. I think we're overdoing it a bit there. I think that probably right there looks pretty good. Again, what you do in GIMP is pretty much personal preference. One man's treasure is another man's garbage, as they say. I think that looks pretty good, so I'm going to accept it. And let's go one more time to Shadows and Highlights. Let's see if I can bring any more of the background out without introducing too much noise. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I'm starting to pick up some noise in the corner here. I can deal with that here in a little bit. Highlights, taking it down, darkens up the pillars too much. I actually want to take it maybe up a little bit to bring out some detail on the pillars that we can see. Some of that little texture you can see on it there. White point. Okay, changing the white point doesn't really help us any. Hit OK. All right, I think that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send this image back to Siril so that we can put the stars back in it. So the way I do that is I go up here to File, come down to Export As, then I come down here to select File Type, and I want to choose Flexible Image Transport System, or otherwise known as FITS files. You see it just changed this image from a TIFF back to a FIT file. So I've got to send this back to my Siril work folder, which is located on the D drive, and I call it Siril Stacking Processing File. And then I hit Export. Okay, now this image is back in Siril so that I can finish processing it there. Again, between images, I close GIMP, so I want to close it, and then I want to reopen it, and we're going to do the same thing for the star mask. We have to turn it back into a FIT file and send it back into Siril. So I come up here to File, Open, Desktop, TIFF folder, and we're looking for a file called Processed. That's our star mask. And there it is. We're not going to do anything with it. We're just going to turn it back into a FIT file and send it back to Siril. So I come up here to File, Export As, select File Type, Flexible Image Transport System. I go back to my D drive and go back to my Siril work folder and select it. Hit Export. All right. Now we're done with GIMP. Let's go ahead and maximize Siril back up. First thing I want to do is I want to open the one processed file, which is our Nebula we've been working on. And there it is. I see some hints of green noise has come back into it during our processing. So I'm going to come back up to image processing, remove green noise, and hit apply. All right, that took it out. So you want to save that result. And I can't think of anything else I really want to do. There's some color saturation functions in Siril you can use. They're not as good as the ones, I don't think, that are in GIMP, but I think we got the color about right on this. This came out pretty nice. You can see some detail in the clouds all the way down through here and back up through here, and these little tiny free-floating clouds out here. It almost has a 3D effect when you look at it. Okay, so we just make sure we save that result. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the stars back in the image. So we come up to image processing, star processing, and star recomposition. It's going to say close the current image. We've already saved it, so yes, we'll close it. So this box will open up. This graph on this side pertains to the nebula. This graph on this side pertains to the stars. So we'll load the nebula up first. We're going to come up to this little folder icon and click on it. And we're going to choose one processed, which is our nebula. There it is, open there. Then we're going to come to this side, go to this folder icon here, and we're going to click on that, and we're going to select processed, which was our star mask. And there's our stars back in the image. Some people like a whole lot of stars like that. I think sometimes they overwhelm the image. So I like to come on the star side and go to the black point slider down here and take it in some to kind of reduce and sharpen the stars up a little bit, just so they kind of don't overwhelm the image. I think that looks pretty good right there. I'm not really going to do anything. I mean, you can do it some more stretching on the nebula if you want to, but you know, I don't think we'll gain anything from it. I think it looks good just the way it is. So you want to hit apply on both sides, hit close, and that right there is pretty much our finished image. One thing I see, I've got some of this graininess up here from the noise, and what I can do is I can go into image processing, go into geometry, choose rotate and crop, and I can actually crop it in a little bit to kind of get away from that noisy area. Hit apply. And that pretty much took care of it. So if you're happy with that and that's your final image, I normally save my images as a PNG file rather than a JPEG, because a PNG retains 3, 4, 5 times as much information in the image as a JPEG does. But the drawback is you'll use up more space on your hard drive if you save all your final images in PNG. But I think it's worth it. So, okay, just wanted to show you what was different in Siril 1.4.0 Beta 3. You notice that during processing, we had these scripts, these Python scripts, and we have other script files here. When you first load up the Siril 1.4.0 Beta 3, you may have to import some of those Python scripts. Just a real quick note, the way you do that is you come over here to your little hamburger symbol and click on it. You come down to Get Scripts, and here's the whole list right here. Whatever you put a check by and hit apply, it's going to import it into Siril for you. A lot of the scripts I use are from, you'll see the DSA on them. These are from Rich over at the Deep Space Astro YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is excellent, so check it out if you get a chance. But that's the way you get those scripts imported into Siril so that you can use them. Okay, I hope that you got something out of this video. I just want to tell everyone I appreciate all the subscribers and I appreciate the visitors that come to watch. I really enjoy the discourse we have in the comments section. I'm sure that I've learned more from you folks than you have from me, but this is all just fun. I really enjoy it. And again, thank you so much for visiting my channel. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know. This is Photon Rookie Jim signing off. I'll see you on the next video.